We've been talking a lot about things in terms of children committing sin and other things like that, and dealing with, the culture that we live in and other things like that. My question is specifically for you as teachers. When you deal with youth who are more religiously inclined, how do you teach them not to necessarily challenge their parents and do other things when they think they're more religious than their parents? Maybe their parents don't practice religion as they do, or they think they practice better than, to prevent them from having that arrogance and destroying their own home by thinking, well, I'm a better Muslim than my parent. And so they start destroying their own home, or for that matter, challenging imams and other things like that, thinking that they have some knowledge, as was mentioned before, that people's life experiences, just the fact that you're older, you have more life experience. But unfortunately, sometimes even when it comes to religious matters, people feel like just because they've been to some classes and stuff like that, they are more religious, and therefore they can challenge their parents, they can challenge leaders of the community. How would you address from that perspective?
It's a very deep question, and it requires a lot of time and contemplation. But I am very, very familiar with the question because I have gone through that phase myself. I have gone through that exact same phase where you think you know more than your parent. As a 17-year-old kid, 18-year-old kid, you've read a few books, listened to a few, scholars here and there, and your parents are not doing that type of understanding, and so you think you know better than them. And some of the, I told you we had some clashes with my parents when I was 17. Believe it or not, they were over religious issues. They were over religious issues where I had this assumption that I knew better than them. And what calmed me down was knowledge. What calmed me down was more knowledge, because the ulama say a little bit of knowledge is the most dangerous thing. The most dangerous thing is little dose of knowledge, because you think you have everything. And the more you study and the more you learn, the more humble you become. And the more you realize, even if you might know one particular issue that your parents don't know, subhanAllah, it doesn't change the respect that is due to them by virtue of the fact they are parents. So the solution, I'm dealing more with the youth, obviously, right? Of course, the parents have their own things that we need to talk about. For the youth, really the solution is you teach them this head on. You don't talk about just fiqh and aqeedah and tafsir. You always have to bring in spirituality. You always have to bring in akhlaq. You always have to bring in humility and humbleness. You cannot simply teach dry facts. And I hope that inshallah we're doing this, at Maghrib and other institutes that we're doing. I hope that we're also emphasizing akhlaq and adab, and not just theory, not just issues that are, abstract and mundane or intellectual. The main thing here, we need to tell our children, we need to tell our youth that, look, if you are doing something your parents haven't done, or you think you're doing something correct and doing wrong, still they are your parents and they deserve that respect. And it is possible that your doing this good deed will be nullified by your bad treatment with your parents. And it is also possible that you think you're doing something right, but the fact of the matter is that's only one opinion and your parents have something that is equally valid. Now, there's many factors to talk about, but I want to talk about one particular issue, and that is, what do you do when there's clearly a religious clash? Let me give you an example. The girl wants to wear hijab and the parents say, no, you can't do it. How many sisters have come to me, to all of the people here, and say, look, my parents don't want me to wear hijab. She's 17 years old, 18. I've even had girls going to college. They're supposed to be adults, but their parents, no, we don't want you to wear it. Why? For whatever reasons they have. That is really where it gets sticky, where it's a clear-cut case of, and I mean, astaghfirullah, it can get pretty ugly sometimes. That is where you need to look at the overall situation. If the person is in a situation where the parents might actually cut off their sustenance or make life difficult for them, you know what? You just tell them, and I've told sisters this, look, it's only a temporary phase. If you're not going to be able to find anywhere else, your parents are going to kick you out. This one sister came, her father literally was going to kick her out of the house if she continued to wear hijab. Here in North America, that's the way it became. I told her, look, for you, this is darura. Don't wear hijab. In front of him, don't even show it to him. And do what you can, ask Allah to forgive you. It's a matter of time when you will move on and you'll be able to do as you please. The real issue comes, like I said, when it's clearly a case of haram and halal. When it's a case of difference of opinion, wallahi, we need to educate our youth. differences of opinion should never ever lead to harshness, to bad manners, to a clash of parent versus child. Eid prayers, Taraweeh prayers, issue here, there's a question of, Zabiha versus non-Zabiha, parents have one thing, children have another. Never should this lead to a clash. More education, more tarbiyah, and this is our job as educators primarily, to teach the kids not to be arrogant to their parents. I know you have a lot to add, Imam Majid, to this.